right. Good evening. Happy Monday. Start of the work week, start of the week in general. And we're here to conclude that start of the week here, or at least start of the day, I should say, of the week. Whatever. You get what I'm saying. Welcome to Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy right here on Fans Only Sports Network. I'm your host, Chet. And as always, I'm joined by a great friend, a great counterpart, and a great mind in sports, Duffy. Duffy, how are we doing today, man?
Chet, I'm doing great. It's great to see you again, man. Nice little Monday show for us. Run it up a little bit, and a great Sunday of football yesterday. How about that, Pats? The miracle in Foxborough, huh?
Honestly, and we'll get to that, but that game in and of itself, I mean, was a doozy until that very end. And it wasn't exactly, as a fan, what we expected going into it, but it was definitely, it ended in the result, as a Patriots fan, you'd want it to. So we'll get into that, but obviously we got to start off with the game that hasn't even occurred just yet. And that is tonight's game, Monday Night Football, taking place in Arizona. The Arizona Cardinals hosting the San Francisco 49ers, sitting at 5-4 in the division. Cardinals sitting at 4-6. So far, San Francisco's favored by a -10 spread so far in this one. A lot of big question marks on the table so far for the Arizona Cardinals and the way they performed this season. Marquise Brown going to be coming back off an injury to join DeAndre Hopkins in this one. And then Jimmy G and the crew. With the addition of Christian McCaffrey and the resurrection of Elijah Mitchell coming back into the season has definitely really helped establish a solid run game, and the pass is still what it needs to be. But it's a good division matchup, and it's taking place in the desert. Duffy, how do you think these two teams stack up against each other?
I'm loving this, the NFL International Series. I love you some Mexican football. The game will be played in Mexico tonight. It's going to be awesome. Division rivals. And these two teams were actually the first two teams to play in the NFL International Series in Mexico back in 2005. And now we got some American football taking place in Mexico during the World Cup as well. It's going to be very exciting. I think these teams, divisional matchup late in the season, both have something to play for. Cardinals trying to prove people wrong, win in front of the Mexican fans. 49ers trying to really establish themselves in the NFC playoff picture. Only a game behind the Seahawks. If they win tonight, they will actually take the lead in the division. So a lot on the line. But Kyler Murray going to be out for the Cardinals, most likely. Colt McCoy getting the start tonight. And I love me some Colt McCoy. And I've never seen him in prime, really. And I think that he might make this a really close game. He plays the Niners well. They beat the Niners twice the other year with Colt McCoy playing one of those games in San Francisco. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think tonight, all right, it was last year actually. I think tonight he makes the game. I don't think it's going to be a 49ers 10-point victory, 10-plus point victory. I mean, they were -8 against the Chargers last week, which was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
Cardinals getting 10 points to their name. So Cardinals making a close game. I think the Niners still pull through, but it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it definitely should be a good game to say the least. And it's kind of crazy because you kind of look at Colt McCoy and the fact that this is a 36-year-old quarterback who at this point you think is probably history, really, like kind of moved on. That's a name that always pops up every so often in the league. And like you said, the track record's there. He plays well against San Francisco, and I'm sure he'll bring enough to the table with that offense he's got right in front of him. I mean, James Conner seems to finally have gotten going in the ground game. And if they elect to go to the pass, you got great passing options from DeAndre Hopkins to Marquise Brown, and it's dashing of others on this Arizona Cardinals offense. But for the Niners, I mean, the Niners have themselves great offensive pieces, and the defense, definitely one of the top defenses in the NFL right now. And like you said, Duffy, both teams are going to come in fired up. It's in neutral ground, neutral territory in Mexico City. So it's going to come down to, in my opinion, for this one, which team's really going to make the first mistake. And that's usually what it comes down to in football, is which team's going to make the first mistake. But I think tonight we're going to see a little bit, I wouldn't say a shootout, but I think it's going to be one of those narrow margin games. It's going to be a tough game because both teams really have a lot on the line. The Cardinals want to stay in the hunt. They want to get back into it. Brady Kudo actually commenting, saying 20-17, Arizona beats the Niners. That's an interesting score prediction. That's a very interesting take right there. But Basically, the way I look at this, I think it'll just come down to the first mistake is what's going to determine the tide of this one. And I like that score prediction right there. I think we're going to see both offenses really try and feel each other out, but I think the defenses are going to play both sides. Well, on both sides, they're going to play each other tough because these teams know each other very well. And I think if we were to give a final prediction score right now, it's probably going to be in the same ballpark as Brady Kudo right there. I'm probably going to say a final score in this one of I'm going to go 23-21 Niners.
I like it, Chet. And you mentioned the Elijah Mitchell reestablished him in that run game for the Niners, making them a much scarier team. We saw it last week with him getting a bulk of the carries for the Niners. But this is going to be one of those, I think, low scoring slugfest games. And fun fact, all four of the NFL International Series games thus far have been one possession games. Most recently last week at Seahawks in Tampa Bay. So I think the trend continues tonight. I'm going to take the Niners winning a close one, 23-17.
That's a good score right there. Some good predictions right here. That game will be on in just about a couple hours on ESPN. Definitely looking forward to sitting down potentially and catching a few drives, a few plays, maybe even the whole game for all we know. I just know we have a staff meeting going on at some point tonight. Of course, going right in between the hour of the game and all. But we both, Chet and Duffy, have spoken. We picked the Niners, and we will see who manages to take this one in the NFL International Series, kind of concluding this week in Mexico City. So that brings us to the country. Well, not even just the country. No, that's too broad. The region that we all live in, known as New England. We all love our sports teams here in New England. We all are huge strong Boston sports fan base. And at the end of the day, we want to see your teams perform well. Patriots, they took care of business. Final score 10-3 on a magical punt return with ending regulation. Marcus Jones taking it 84 yards to the house to seal the deal. It was the only touchdown scored in the entire game. It was an ugly one, though. It was a very ugly game. Zach Wilson, 9 for 22 for 77 passing yards. Patriots defense really shutting him down, including the run game. Michael Carter and James Robinson both combined for 29 yards rushing on 15 rushing carries. And then for the Patriots, Mac Jones, 23 for 27, 246 on the day, but was sacked 6 times. Patriots O-line suffering as David Andrews left the game, carted off the field with a thigh injury. He is, at this point, expected to miss the rest of the regular season. And there was a strong reemergence in the run game, however. Damian Harris, probably season high of 65 yards on 8 carries. Stevenson suffered on the ground, but through the air was the top target besides Jacoby Myers at 6 catches on the day. Patriots, they did what they needed to do, but to be honest, Duffy, I mean, I watched that game. Nick Folk missing 2 field goals for the one he made. This game could have been won a long time ago, but the Patriots really, really put themselves in a corner, and the Jets defense took strong advantage to keep this game to where it was.
Sure did. And the Patriots, they were moving the ball the whole game on a lot of their drives. Like you said, 2 missed Nick Folk field goals. He's my new fantasy kicker because I dropped Brett Maher on my bye week, and you picked him up.
Oh, yeah. And I got 22 points from the guy.
Over 20 points. It really hurt watching him get a 50 and 60-yard field goal back to back. But yeah, what a game it was for the Pats defensively. Great effort by the defense. No takeaways. Neither team had a turnover, surprisingly, in a 10-3 game, but big defensive line presence all game from both these teams. Patriots with 4 sacks themselves. Matthew Judon adding on to his total now with 13 on the season, leading the NFL. Huge. Maybe snipe him for Defensive Player of the Year on a little future. But the thing is, with the Patriots offense, I mean, they were getting halted on 3rd down all game. They're moving the ball. They didn't really get in the red zone. I think only 5 total plays happened in the red zone yesterday in this game. And I mean, just 4 for 15 on 3rd down, albeit the Jets were 3 of 14. But if the Pats play like that against any other team, they're losing that game. I know every team has a defense like the Jets. That Jets defense this year is spectacular. The defensive line is a unit. But Pat's got to really clean it up. This is now 3 games in a row where the offense has looked very sluggish. 26 points against the Colts last 2 weeks ago, and one of the touchdowns was by the defense. And the week before, I forget who they beat.
Oh, the Patriots?
Oh, it was the Jets again. It was the Jets the first time. They really, 9 field goals in those 2 games combined. And then yesterday, 3 more field goal drives. 2 of them were missed by Nick Folk. But hey, sloppy win, and it's a Pat's victory though. What's up, man?
But taking a look at the AFC East standings currently, Miami still sitting at the top of the division as they did defeat the Buffalo Bills early on in the season by a final score of 21-19. Buffalo taking care of business against Cleveland. They are tied now for the best record in the AFC East. And the Patriots and the Jets have lost to the Pats now twice on the year. They are now finally in last place where they belong. And the Patriots moving up into third place in the AFC East standings. So this week, as a Pats fan, it's something to actually have a sigh of relief about. But Duffy, honestly, we've talked about this before. It is just very interesting how the AFC East is shaped up, where at this point, if the playoffs were to start today, all 4 teams would be in the postseason.
Well, I think realistically, only 3 have a chance. The Jets are really due for a big digression. I think after yesterday, we really see it, especially with Zach Wilson. Now, probably getting benched in the future. I mean, today reports his job is up in the air, and he might go to Mike White or Joe Flacco in the future. We'll see. But I mean, who would have thought this 2 years ago? All 4 AFC East teams in position to make the playoffs, and all 4 NFC East teams as well. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's really crazy stuff, and really cool with the new expanded format. But also, I thought in my little game recap, just quick shout out to Marcus Jones, man, player of the game, player of the season thus far, probably in the NFL in terms of the game-winning score. I think it's gonna be tough to top that Jefferson catch last week, but it's one of the best plays we're gonna see all season. And it's crazy that it was the Pats, man. 5 seconds left. Jets are gonna jet. Always remember that. And I told you that last week.
Yep.
Jets are still the Jets. They're always going to be the Jets. And we can really look back at this point of the season and just laugh that all 4 AFC East teams were in the playoff picture for a 2-week stretch. It's going to be very, haha, in about a month. Yeah. I could bite my words. I really could eat my words. And Joe Flacco leads the Jets, 6 of their next 7 games to victory. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. And
also, my guy Jared Turcotte has some takes himself.
Oh God,
about this Pats game.
I'm not gonna lie. I think the Jets are a pretty Mickey playoff team right now. They're I don't see how they're 6-4 right now. Like they've had a couple of wins in there where they shouldn't have won, and especially if they turn it over to like Mike White or Joe Flacco, I don't see how they get like more than like 2 or 3 wins at the end of the year.
It's tough to say.
I don't see this team going more than 500. Honestly, I don't know.
I mean, taking a look at the Jets' schedule going down the road for them, they take on Chicago the next week. They go on the road for 2 more games as they take on Minnesota, and then they go to Buffalo and play the Bills. The rest of the season, Lions, Jags, Seahawks, Dolphins. So Jets definitely got themselves a difficult schedule, but the Patriots themselves, they go on this week, a short week. They go to Minnesota and play the Vikings on Thanksgiving night. Then they play Buffalo at home. They go to Arizona and Las Vegas to play those 2 teams. They have the last 2 games at home against the Bengals and the Dolphins, and finally on the road against the Bills. So Patriots, great win this week. It wasn't the win we wanted in terms of the score.
I disagree, honestly. Sorry to cut you off, Chet, but I really felt like you were going to wrap this segment up, and I have one more thing to say. I mean, this is, in my opinion, one of my 3 or 4 favorite Patriots victories in the last 10 years in the regular season.
Wow.
Just because of the way it ended. Wow. I'm putting this up there with, let me think of some good examples. Say, like, Pats Broncos 2013, the 24-0 comeback on Sunday night. I'm putting up there with that. Putting up there with Pats Texans, that game-winning drive.
Yep.
Brandon Cooks, the toe tap in the corner.
Mhm.
I'm putting this up there with Pats Steelers 2017. You know, Jesse James dropping that at the goal line.
How about
Pats Chiefs 2018, 43-40.
Yeah. I mean, that was
Only
definitely
Cincinnati even.
How about
Yeah.
Patriots Saints 2013?
Patriots Saints
I
2018.
think
No
that one.
confidence at the
I
back
knew I
of the
was
end
missing
zone.
something
Yeah.
special. Yeah, that's
And
Special win.
I mean, it could be a little bit biased for me, but it definitely my top three is the 2014, I believe, or what was the year they won the Super Bowl against the Seahawks? Was it 2014 or
Yeah,
2016?
14.
regular season. I know,
Regular season. of
Regular
2014.
season.
Okay. Well, when they won the Super Bowl that year,
Yeah.
was it 2014?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, my top game probably is the divisional round Baltimore Ravens in New England, taking them on there. You get the Danny Amendola pass to the end zone, or no, Julian Edelman pass to Danny Amendola in the end zone. That was an amazing game.
It's
14
definitely
nothing.
my top 3 playoff games.
I'd
Yeah.
say
Regular
pass
season. I
to
see what you're
Brandon
saying now.
LaFell, The
Yes.
pass that's tied up to Brandon LaFell, where he just hit him like right next to the pylon. It was a fucking perfect ball. Like, that was pretty incredible. That was incredible.
Yeah, some great memories, and it sucks because I definitely wish
throw for me.
I wish I got to witness that play occur, because literally I was on my way to work, and right when I walk in the door, my buddy comes up to me and goes, "Dude, did you see that last play?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "They just won," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I missed it. Come on!"
They said we won with like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Casual,
A tie game of 5 minutes.
casual, goofy.
Absolute.
That throw to LaFell was literally like.
But you know, it's kind of all rounds back full circle.
Brady.
I mean, Brady beats Joe Flacco in that playoff game, and next week he'll be starting for the Jets.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy to think about. So, Patriots take care of business in Foxborough. They will head on to Minnesota, and we'll discuss that preview in just a moment. But before we get to that, we're going to go into our top 3 player segment of Week 11. Obviously, I know, ladies and gentlemen, Week 11 is not technically over, but a majority of the games have already happened, and we're going to come down because there were 3 players yesterday that had themselves a field day. They really did. And you have to take a look at the number 3 guy. This is a guy who was traded last year. Actually, we found out he was traded right on this show. We found out the trade was made. Davante Adams getting moved from Green Bay to Las Vegas to play with Derek Carr and the Raiders. Raiders take care of business yesterday over the Broncos, 22-16 in overtime. Give credit to Davante Adams with 7 catches for 141 receiving yards and 2 TDs to cap it off. He is the number 3 guy here on this list.
Yeah, unbelievable game for Davante Adams. Really got me hyped. Great game by the Raiders. That game-winning drive was sick. I mean, that throw by Derek Carr to Josh Jacobs on the sideline was gorgeous to set up the game-tying field goal. Then overtime, they win the toss. I think that drive was 2 plays. Maybe it was 3 plays. But Davante Adams, that was one of the sickest routes I've ever seen. I mean, fakes going inside on the deep post and then hits the corner, and no one was there for the Broncos, and it was just a beauty. Raiders, 3 wins this year, 2 of them against the Denver Broncos, who now fall to last place in the AFC West.
Yeah, it's just the Raiders. I mean, they've just been an up and down team all year. Well, they're in the race, but they're really not in the race just because of the way they are and the way that organization is being run right now. But at the end of the day, with this play, it's one of the top plays of the week, top players of the week. And Davante Adams proves once again why he is one of the best in the game in terms of route running and in terms of just getting open as it is. So we now move to the number 2 spot. And this guy, he's already been on our list, but the Dallas Cowboys yesterday completely and utterly just shocking the rest of the league. 40-3, the final score in Minnesota. This was the game I got wrong for the upset. I picked Minnesota in this one. Definitely not too happy about it. And then, of course, Michael Irvin today.
Good pick, man.
Michael Irvin really giving it to Stephen A. Smith on the Cowboys winning and the Giants losing to the Lions this week. That was Duffy's upset, actually. So it's kind of funny how it all comes full circle. But I'll complete that circle by saying our number 2 guy is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, once again, just having a field day. What's that?
This guy sucks at picking games.
I just do. I end up picking the wrong one.
30.
My lock was Chiefs.
Okay.
Mickey.
All right. It was, it's kind of a Mickey lock, but
either way, Pollard, 15 carries, 80 yards on the ground, averaging 5.3 yards a carry. And then through the air, 6 receptions for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of those busting out for a 68-yard touchdown. And Tony Pollard, once again, on our list. And he is really taking over that backfield. They really like to split up between him and Ezekiel Elliott, but it's obvious he is now the cowbell.
Yeah, it's definitely safe to say that he's over the starting spot from Zeke.
Absolutely.
He's too injury prone. He's too injury prone at this point in his career.
He doesn't run like he used to.
Yeah, he does not run like he did his rookie year or even his second year. Like he's a different player now.
Mm-hmm.
More of a goal line guy, kind of short yardage guy. I feel like
sad. It's sad to see because he was one of the most electric players in football.
And he was a beast. It all caught up to him like this for a lot of these running backs. But Tony Pollard, gotta give him credit where it's due.
Pollard's up next for them.
He's up next. He's a stud. I was playing him in fantasy against your brother Matt Heath too. It really hurt seeing him put up 33 points. I need a 37-point game from James Conner tonight.
Good luck.
It could happen.
Conner's on the player of the week list on Thursday. But man, what a game it was for Pollard. Cowboys really shocking the whole league, like you said. And my boy Ben Catino said this is his midseason Super Bowl pick right now is the Cowboys.
Wow. I mean, hey, they have been a little up and down, but when they can take care of business, this team has really proven, especially in recent weeks, that they can get the job done. Despite losing in Green Bay, they've got something special brewing this year, and there's definitely potential for them to actually make potentially a deep playoff run, especially in an NFC that's very weak. And really the top teams, the top dogs you can pick out of them are the Eagles and the Cowboys at this point. And both are in the same division.
I'd have to disagree with you though, because I think you kind of get these vibes from the Cowboys every year. They can make a deep playoff run. They've got such an explosive offense. They always start off pretty strong, but end up fading in November, December. Mm-hmm. And even if they make the playoffs, still, I don't know. It feels like it's the same story every year with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, time will tell. I like what I see from them so far, but Jared, I do have to agree with you on that. You just don't know with this team what they're going to end up doing when it comes down to brass tacks and when you need them to actually perform. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, Tony Pollard, number 2 on our list. And finally, the number 1 guy on our list. He hasn't been on the list so far this year, but he's had some incredible games. Patrick Mahomes throwing for over 329 yards and 3 touchdown passes. And I got you there because it's not Patrick Mahomes. It's, in fact, the man who caught all 3 of those touchdown passes. Travis Kelce, 3 TDs in this game with 6 receptions for 115 yards, carrying this team, putting the team on his back when it mattered most. And the Chiefs managed to edge out the Los Angeles Chargers last night by a final score of 30-27 in a thrilling Sunday night football game, probably one of the best of the year when these two teams always come together, Herbert and Mahomes. It is a rivalry like no other, but Travis Kelce is the number 1 guy on our list for week 11 for his spectacular performance.
Definitely one of the best of the year in terms of SNF games, in terms of all the primetime games. Chiefs have given us some good content this year.
They really have.
And Travis Kelce doing what he did last year in SoFi Stadium, put on a show against the Chargers. I mean, game-winning touchdown back-to-back years against these guys. He's the Chargers killer. He's a beast. He's one of the best tight ends ever. He'll be in Canton one day. This season already 11 touchdowns and 11 games for the Chiefs? Yeah. 10 games for the Chiefs. They're 8-2. Yep. He's on path for another historic season. Passed Gronkowski last night for the most 100-yard games by a tight end. Already.
It's a sad day for that.
Well, I've been trying to say he's better than Gronk for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
The counterpoint to that is that Gronk only had 6 games less in his entire career. Gronk played 136 games and ended up with 32 yards.
I feel like
32 games where he had 100 more.
we look at
100
Kelsey
more
though
points.
and his numbers, man. He's gonna have 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons as a tight end.
Yeah, but
That's crazy.
But the thing is, like, if Gronk had a durability that Kelsey had, he would have smoked that record a long time ago.
Probably,
but obviously that's not the way the history books look at it as of this
He
point.
played half his games injured. Like, obviously everyone knows, like, that was the one weak spot where Gronk really struggled with was staying on the field.
Durability.
Yeah.
Like I say, availability
Yeah.
is an ability. Broncos didn't have it for half his career.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce's on the field every game, every season, and he shows up. Puts up 1,000 yards playing next to guys like Tyreek.
But Gronk had some
And Jeremy
serious
Maclin.
injuries, though. Gronk had some serious. He broke his arm. Like, he broke his arm. Tore his ACL. Yeah.
He had a lot going on.
He tried to fight through his injuries as much as he possibly could.
Yeah,
sure.
He was just a big guy who fell very hard every time somebody brought him to the turf. He was.
I think he's probably top 3 most impactful player in the last 20 years in Boston, honestly. I'd say 81, Ortiz 2, and then Gronk 3.
I would say Jason Tatum over Gronk.
Over Gronk, really?
No, I'm just kidding. No.
I'm like, dude, no, it's way too early for that.
I would say Isaiah Thomas over Gronk.
No, hell no. That's a definite no. I'm gonna cut it off right there. Those are our top 3 players of the week here on Unapologetic. We'll obviously continue these going forward. And now finally, we head to the last segment of the night, which is our Thanksgiving Day preview. And for those of you who are tuning into Fans Only Sports broadcasts, Thanksgiving, we got you covered. We got plenty of games on the slate for Thanksgiving Day, including me and Duffy here. We will be at East Providence, covering the East Providence Townies, taking on the LaSalle Rams. It's going to be a great game. That game will be at 10 a.m. Please tune in. Go to fansonlysports.com, and you can purchase your live stream tickets there. But I believe since it's Thanksgiving, these might be public. Don't quote me on that. But
I think they've been public pretty much all year, our football games.
Yeah.
So, they should be. And honestly, wake up, drink a little mimosa if your age permitted, and watch our game. It's going to be lit. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a great time, I'll tell you that. And we are so thankful on Thanksgiving for family, turkey, stuffing, all the shindigs. But obviously, as sports fans, what we're so thankful for is that we can sit down and watch some good football. And there's some good games on the slate. Well, potentially good. I don't want to give too much credit there. But starting off, 12:30, as usual, Detroit hosting a Thanksgiving game against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have dropped 2 games before they beat Cleveland yesterday by a final score of 31-23. They are now second in the division behind the Miami Dolphins, taking on a Detroit Lions squad that has won 3 straight after losing 5 straight. They beat the New York Giants yesterday by a score of 31-18. So Lions are going to be a little hungry for another win. Their offense, definitely one of the best in the game in terms of yards gained. However, they're playing a Buffalo Bills unit that has one of the top defenses in the league and, without a doubt, one of the best quarterbacks in football with one of the best offenses you could really ask for. So what are we looking for in this one, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, Lions, 9-point underdogs at home. I don't even remember the last time they won a Thanksgiving game. They didn't win last year, did they?
No.
They got crushed last year.
I'm going to look this up.
Been a long time.
But, hey, they're 9-point underdogs. They've won 3 games in a row. Come off of a pretty defining win against the Giants on the road. No one really thought was going to happen, except for Vegas and me. But yeah, they have not won on Thanksgiving since 2016.
Man,
wow,
years in 2019.
It's been 6 years.
It's rough.
And I think it'll be 7. Buffalo's gonna win this game. They kind of have to win this one. They're not gonna drop to Detroit. I think Detroit will barely cover. I don't even believe that. Actually, I don't believe that. Bills, this is their 3rd Thanksgiving game in 4 years. Crazy nugget. And they're gonna win. They're gonna win on Thursday. And the final score is gonna be 37-27.
Yeah, that's a good score right there. Yeah, I mean, I really don't see a scenario that the Bills truly lose this game. I just think, regardless, they lost 2 games that they should have won. They were ahead in basically both. Well, except the Jets. Well, they were ahead in both games, and I mean, Allen had that injury pop up out of nowhere against the Jets. But regardless, I mean, a great win last week. They're definitely going to be. They want to be at the top of the division. This is not the spot they want to be in right now, middle of the pack in terms of the AFC East. I think they'll be able to cover that by at least 10, like you said, Duffy. I think the final score in this one is going to be something along the lines of 36 to 24.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I think the Bills are going to cover the spread pretty handily. I don't think the Lions have a shot. I mean, they play tough, but the Bills just have so much more skill and so much more talent than the Lions on both defense and offense. So I got Bills 34, Lions 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad
Bills
at all.
are going to 8-3, get a temporary first place lead in the division.
Yep. At least until we'll see what happens with Miami. And I forget. Let me see. Actually,
They're
they
playing
play
the Niners.
They play Houston.
They
Yeah,
play
they're
Houston.
at
That's
yeah.
right.
No,
Mickey game right there.
They're in Miami.
Yeah, they should smoke that one.
Yeah, they honestly
It would
should.
be kind of a miracle.
Texans are the worst team in the league, so they really should. But now that moves us into the second game on the slate for Thanksgiving, the 4:30 game, the New York Giants, who just fell to the Detroit Lions in this week's matchup, and then the Dallas Cowboys, who won in a game nobody expected, 40-3 over the Minnesota Vikings. They host the New York Giants this week. Giants, they have just been a team that kind of just came out of the gate super hot, and now they're slowly cooling off. And I think at this point, despite it being a division matchup, I think the Cowboys have this one because they really have just seemed to put it together with Tony Pollard, with the way Dak Prescott runs that offense and how they just split the touches between the two, and that Dallas Cowboys defense. It's just strong. And Daniel Jones, like, he looked good in certain games, but honestly, statistically, he wasn't putting up big numbers. And the Giants offense is really heavily reliant on the talents of Saquon Barkley to lead them down the field. I like what the Giants have put together this year, but I think they're still a little off in terms of saying, hey, we're going to make the postseason. Don't quote me. They could honestly do that, but I think in this game, it'll be close, but I still think Dallas will take away the win.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Dallas 9-point favorites right now, and the Giants, they just lost on Sunday pretty bad fashion. It was not as close as the score said, really, that Lions-Giants game. And I think they have something to prove. So if they go to Dallas and win this game, hey, it's a possibility. Dallas lost on Thanksgiving last year to Oakland. I remember Oakland was plus 300 that game. My boy Cam had it upstairs. And I think Dallas still wins this game, but I think it's really close. I'm feeling overtime in this game. Low scoring. That over-under is going to sniff at 44.5. I'm saying 23-20. New York Giants in overtime. New York Giants in overtime.
Wow. Okay.
Shake up the NFC East.
Wow.
That would shake it up a lot.
Wow.
I fooled you. I switched up.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, I was switching it up earlier. But yeah, I mean, for me, I like that score prediction. I think it could go either way, but honestly, in this one, I'm still taking the Cowboys. I'm going to take the final score in this one to be 28-27. They beat them by a point.
Okay.
Gonna go with a little bit more of an uneven matchup, honestly. I think the Cowboys are like, I know I just said just talking about the Cowboys and the playoff chances last segment, but honestly, I think the Cowboys offense just is too good for the Giants defense. I'm gonna go 37-20.
Think about it. This is such a Dallas game to lose, though.
It is. It truly is.
They're feeling so hot after a 37-point road victory, largest in franchise history.
And it's funny because when the Cowboys act like this, the fan base does, and then the next week they just blow it. It happens every time. It's like a reoccurring prophecy. You get so hyped up over one Dallas Cowboys victory, and then the next week they surprise you with a loss.
Yeah, I feel like that does happen a lot, but I've always had the mindset that the Giants are like a fake, like 4-1, 5-1 team. when they had the second best record in the NFC. Like I don't know, they're not there yet. They're a young team. They have Brian Dable, who's a good head coach, but I don't think they're fully there yet. Give them another year, and maybe they'll be at that point where they could respectably be like the 2 or 3 seed. But I don't know. If they do make the playoffs, I think they're going to sneak in as a 7 seed. But I don't think that's going to happen. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. For me, I mean, I think the testament to the Giants season was in Seattle to see if they were going to actually keep propelling forward in a straight direction, and it hasn't done that. They lost in that game, and they haven't won ever since. So
we'll keep sleeping on them.
Yeah, don't sleep on them.
I want you to sleep on them.
I don't think they're legit. I don't think
they're not legit. They're going to be the 7th seed in the NFC, and then lose to Dallas in the first round. No, not Dallas. They're going to lose to
Philly
first round. So,
okay.
Yeah. So time will tell. We'll see what happens in this one, but taking the Cowboys, Duffy taking the Giants, and Jared taking the Cowboys as well. So now we move into the final game of the evening. It's the one that you New England fans were all looking forward to. Patriots, the final game of the night at 8:20. So annoying how these times are all over the place sometimes when it comes to prime time. But anyways,
it's pretty standard to me, man.
They head on the road to US Bank Stadium to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings blown out last week, 40-3, and Patriots just barely snuck out a win, 10-3, the final score in New England. Offense, as we said, Duffy, in the beginning of the show, was just absolutely they could move the ball. They could move the ball, but they couldn't finish. And that's been the one thing that this team hasn't been able to do is finish when it comes down to the red zone, when it comes to getting the ball to where you need it to be. And then Nick Folk yesterday missing 2 field goals. You can't always rely on your kicker to carry you to these wins. And they managed to take care of business, but this is a Minnesota Vikings unit that is definitely offensively very stout. They have a great unit put together with Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen all going to town, and even TJ Hawkinson, if you want to give him some credit there. Patriots defense, one of the top 10 defenses in the league right now. They actually are second against the run this year, so that could be some promising looks against Dalvin Cook. But I think if they want to win this game, they're going to have to really shut down that run game first. And then, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, make them pass it. But when you got a player like Justin Jefferson getting open downfield, it could spell a lot of doom for this unit.
I mean, you can think that all you want, but honestly, this Patriots secondary, phenomenal. Top 5 core in the NFL, in my opinion, so far this season, especially the last month. Month plus, about 6 weeks now, they've been on a hot streak. It's been incredible. I haven't had a really bad game since the Packers game, if you want to say that game, but Ravens game was really bad too. But since middle of October, they've been pretty locked down. I think about it like this, man. This is just such a Belichick game to win and a Kirk Cousins game to lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Belichick on Thanksgiving 3-0 in his head coaching career in New England. I think he makes it 4-0. I think Minnesota is going to really add on to what Minnesota is the best, and that is just be a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
A fluke year in, year out. They're gonna win the division this year pretty handily, but this is just Vikings games to lose. Kirk in prime time. He's already been on Thanksgiving once. 2017, they lost to the Giants, who I think finished 4-12 that year. No, they beat the Giants. My apologies, but it was a shitty game. It was like 20-10.
Yeah.
So my bad. That was some misinformation. And he actually lost to the Cowboys the year before, so he's 1-1 on Thanksgiving. And I think he falls to 1-2. The spotlight's too big for him. It's a statement game for the Vikings. Especially because the way they lost this Sunday, 40-3. We all know what Kirk is in prime time. He sucks. We all know how Belichick is always, not always, but in the spotlight. He either steps up really heavily and wins an impressive game, or he just makes a mistake that's just so dumb, and they play conservative and embarrass themselves. Patriots have to win this game. They're playing Buffalo a week afterwards on Thursday night. 7-4 and 6-5 are so different, and I think they're going to bring the heat to Minnesota. That D-line has been very promising this year, and I feel like has Kirk been sacked a lot this year? I feel like maybe. They looked rough against the Cowboys last week, their offensive line. So
Yeah, I think the Cowboys had 6 or 7 sacks that game. So.
I'll take a look. Let's see. They had, come on, load 7 sacks on Kirk Cousins this week.
And Chet, I want to say this before I give those reins to someone else to speak.
Yeah.
I want this to be my early upset of the week here on Unapologetic. New England Patriots, baby. They're winning this game on the road. I'm taking them. And they're going to ride off the cold Kirk Cousins, streak. He's been sacked at least 3 times in 4 of the last 5 games. Patriots are going to bring the heat. They're going to have to. Bull rush the F out of this Vikings offensive line. It's going to help them win the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if the Patriots want any chance of really winning this game, it's going to have to be a defensive battle. They're not going to be able to compete with Justin Jefferson in particular and Hawkinson. Like this can't be some offensive slugfest. Like it needs to be a low-scoring, primetime Kirk type of game where Belichick schemes it up against him and really uses the secondary as like a weapon against Jefferson and Hawkinson and even like Dalvin Cook. I got Patriots 17, Vikings 14.
Over-unders at 42. We know it's that low. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
It's going to be a low-scoring game.
All right. So picture this.
Give me the Patriots 20, Vikings 17.
I like that. All right. So picture this. Vikings have the lead 23-21. Patriots drive down the field towards the end of the game, kick a field goal, but just enough time for Kirk Cousins and crew with just under 2 minutes to go to march down the field and potentially get a game-winning drive with the score 24-23. They managed to move down the field with a nice pass to Jefferson, getting Dalvin Cook involved in the run game as the defensive line slowly starts to get tired out, and they get set up for a 40-some-odd yard field goal. They get set, and Greg Joseph shanks the kick, and the Patriots walk away with a victory, as we saw a couple, maybe last year, I think it was, when the Vikings missed that potential game-winning field goal against the Arizona Cardinals in, I think, week 4. That's what we're going to see here on Thanksgiving, and the Patriots.
Annual Vikings shank.
And Greg Joseph has been so inconsistent this year for this team in terms of setting up for field goal kicking. So for me, I'm going to take the Patriots final score 24-23 on Thanksgiving. They'll be eating turkey and just enjoying themselves after a great win on the road.
Right. Who do you have as your player of the game?
Player of the game for that?
Yeah. Devin McCourty, 2 picks.
2 picks.
I like that call. I like that pick. I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson for mine. I'm going to go with Stevenson. He gets around 50 yards on the ground, 50 yards through the air, accumulates for a 100-yard scrimmage.
Okay.
Well, great math.
Going to go 20 rushes for Stevenson, 110 yards.
Damn.
Picking up an additional 12 receiving yards on 2 receptions.
Okay.
A lot of catches, man, this year.
He has.
He's been
really good. He's been really good.
He has been.
Yards after the catch.
Oh, yeah.
He might be the best Patriots running back since Corey Dillon.
He could be. He has the potential to be. We'll see how it all pans out as his career continues to move forward. But until then, we thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. But it's not the only episode this week. Stay tuned. Friday, we will have one. We usually do one on Thursday, but it's Thanksgiving and football will be on. And, we want to spend time with the fam and then do all the stuff that people normally do on Thanksgiving. So Friday, Black Friday, we will have another Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy episode. But until then, this is Chet and Duffy signing off. And Jared Turcotte, thank you so much for coming on, surprisingly, onto the show.
Appreciate the feature.
Of course. But thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you this Friday right here on Fans Only Sports Network. And as always, go Pats.
Go Pats.